Hello. Hello. Am I live? Am I live? Hello? Hi. How's everyone doing? If you're here already, hi. If you're here later, well, I don't have to say anything because you're not here yet. But hello. Hello if you're watching later in the future. I'm Scavenger. Welcome to the channel. I hope you all become acquainted with the channel very well. Because then, if you're just dropping by the stream and you have no clue what's going on, I'm playing a visual novel, and I typically play more mature, adult-oriented visual novels, or I should say that the visual novels I play have adult content from time to time. However, this is a live stream. This is YouTube. I don't have any of that stuff going on in any of the videos I post or the live streams, because obviously YouTube does not allow that. We got to keep it as tame as possible, just in case someone accidentally stumbles upon the video or channel. You know how it is. There's no regulatory safeguards on the internet these days. You know what I'm saying? Which, I mean, I guess it's a good thing. I mean, it's a good and a bad thing, I suppose. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But anyway, yeah. We're gonna start the game here shortly, but I want to make sure we're all good to go. Wait for, a few more of you to trickle in, if people do trickle in. We'll see. But I'll start off with saying this. This game is called Selene, Apoptosis. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not exactly sure. And I was like, that sounds like a real word. And it is. It has something to do with, we're going to get sciencey and medical here. It has something to do with apoptosis. Selene is just somebody's name. But apoptosis, if that's how you pronounce it, is something to do with the life cycle of the cell, or the cycle of a cell in an organism, and it usually ends in the cell death. So I think it's the constant reproduction of the cell, and then the cell's life cycle, and then cell death, or something like that. I don't know what that has to do with this game that we're about to play. A long time ago, I did like a video on this game, and it was the demo version of the game several years ago. I don't even know how many years ago. And I've never played the full game, and I think it's pretty short. I think we could end up playing the whole game in one sitting, depending on me. How's it going? Shoot, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I apologize, but how you doing? Welcome. Saludos. Hello, me saludos. I'm terrible with I assume your first language is not English, or I just don't know how to pronounce your name. Welcome to the stream. So where was I? Yeah, this game seems interesting. It does if you buy it on Steam, where I picked it up. I think there's also itch.io version of the game. But there is DLC for it, so if you're looking for that 18 plus content, you can get the DLC. However, not only am I not playing that here, but I've also got streamer mode on, so we should be safe to go. There shouldn't be anything going on, no slips that will get me canceled on YouTube. Yeah, I greeted you. I just don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm just gonna call you M, because that's the first letter in your name. Welcome. So other than this game, I'll keep talking for a minute, and we'll get the game started soon. I'm looking for other games that I can actually stream on YouTube. The types of visual novels and stuff that I would typically play for my channel. But games like this one that have a streamer mode. Now, the developer that there's a couple developers for this game, and one of them is Flat Chest Dev. Typically, their games have like a streamer mode, or they have like you can turn the sensors on and off, which is really cool. And then I'd be able to play those games on here. Okay, your name is Messiel. I'm gonna look it up. Because I want to pronounce it right. I want to look it up real quick. I'm gonna check on my phone the pronunciation of your name, because that's an interesting name and I haven't heard it before. We're gonna look this up together. Messiel. I'm close enough. I'm close enough. I hope. I'm sure I butchered it, but hey. The internet also said it's a Dominican name. Is that true? Welcome to the stream. All right. I think we're going to go ahead and kick this game off. Again, this is Selene, Apoptosis. If you want to play it for yourself, you can check it out on Steam. That's where I'm playing it from. It does have DLCs. So if you're looking to get some of that spicy content, you can get the DLC. However, like I said, I'm playing without DLC, and I have streamer mode on, so everything should be good to go. Now, if my camera is in the way of the text or whatever, I'm not too worried about the picture, but if it's in the way of the text, I'll adjust. That way you guys can read along. But I'm going to do my best to act and read and not screw up when I'm doing these videos for like uploads. There's a lot of editing because I screw up reading a lot. But here we go. We are getting into it. Here we go. Sound was driving... Oh, see, I already fucked up. All right. The sound was driving him crazy. Monotonous, muffled thuds were resonating throughout his head with dull pain. The pain wasn't too strong, nothing unbearable, but that sound. More than anything else, he wanted the sound to just stop. Thud. Nevertheless, the knocking sounds didn't end. He knew it well enough because he himself was their origin. Thud. 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 The nose of his slipper was hitting the rear of his desk over and over again, like a huge fluffy moth frantically ramming against the window glass. He wanted plenty of things. He wanted to pay the rent in time this month, not to displease his landlady again. He wanted to finish the script, at least in draft, because a draft is way better than nothing. Something one can work with. And he wanted sleep. No, not quite that. The problem, a serious one, was that he didn't really want to sleep. He leaned back in his chair and rubbed his shut eyes, pressing his eyeballs until dancing pale lights appeared. Of course, he took the sleeping pills. When a healthy 8-hour sleep gives way to a not-so-healthy 5-hour nap, then 3-hour eyes shut break, then goes away entirely, you stop thinking how this will impact your liver. You just want to sleep. You need to sleep, especially if you have already taken an advance payment for your first part of a gig. and the goddamn text won't just write itself. However, if the text could in fact write itself somehow, he would probably lose his job. He didn't have any illusions in his... He didn't have any illusions in this regard. As soon as natural networks get smart enough... Oh, it says neural networks, not natural, okay? As soon as neural networks get smart enough, he and dozens of other ghostwriters would vanish into morning mist of a new era in literature. He didn't have much of a name or connections, only some skill and a knack to meet the deadlines for the most part. The client was content with this, and he was content with the pay, so everything went well until the pills started failing him. Blam! This time, the tic got too strong. His foot jerked and hit the board with very noticeable pain. Seemed like he even heard his toes cracked. He muttered a short curse and rolled the chair away from the desk, although he knew, now that his attention was not fixed on the blank text file, the tic would go away all by itself. It's funny how the consciousness is detached from the body. He often thought about it, especially while having insomnia. It's like you're working as a team, but your partner starts pulling something. You seem to have common goals, but when all hell breaks loose, you are suddenly left alone with it, and your partner is more interested in watching the fire than fighting it. In the end, you have no idea what's on his mind. Well, at least there won't be any more knocking. Good. Oh, there's a little bit of like a lightning flash outside, it looks like. A small window at the far side... let me read that again. A small window at the far side of the room flashed white for a moment. Storm? Now that he thought about it, the day was hot. The viscous, stagnant air still filled the room. This, and the barely audible squeak of an overheated network filter, he became sensitive to such things when he couldn't sleep for a long time, made the entire room seem to vibrate a little. Like a cocoon that's about to hatch. Actually, that did sound like a good line. He rolled back to the table and was about to write that thought down, but paused over the keyboard. He remembered the individual words and the general idea, but the sentence had already slipped away. This time, the white light seemed to fill the entire room. Then a thunder followed. Okay, we'll go with it. Resembling a low gut roar of something large and famished. Good Lord. He called to God way too often for someone who never goes to church. This is a habit he inherited from his mother. A furious patter of raindrops pounded on his window. There's no way he could work like this. Not now. But maybe it's for the best. Since he was a little boy, he slept well during the storms. Had to seize the moment. He groped for a packer of sleeping pills? Okay, I don't know what a packer is. Maybe there's something. Anyway, he groped for a packer of sleeping pills. It's nice to have your working tools at hand. Popped the pills into his mouth and opened the window to hear the steady patter of the rain. Then he went to bed and collapsed on top of the bed sheets, his clothes still on. He could tell by the sound of the water. He could tell the sound the water had flooded the... am I reading that right? You could tell by the sound... Okay. Alright. I got this. Don't worry about it. He could tell by the sound that the water had flooded the windowsill and was trickling down onto the floor. He decided that was a small price to pay. He felt a pleasant chill of cloth beneath his cheek. The wavering haze was gradually fading from the room. Yet the sleep did not come. He tried to take his shoes off, change position, take a pillow, cover himself, throw the pillow away to the other side of the room. Nothing helped. He just laid there with his eyes closed and thought his closed eyelids felt heavy. He knew it was an illusion. All in vain. He's not sleeping. He can't sleep. Ooh, what's going on here? Thud. At first he thought he was imagining things. Thud. 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 Sometimes the knocking paused, but it never stopped completely. The sound came from below, from the first floor. Someone was banging incessantly on the door. Insistently. Wait. Yeah, not incessantly, but they were banging it insistently on the front door. With each thud, he could feel the rage building up like a tight knot of pain around his stomach. He is trying to sleep. Is it really that hard to just leave a man alone? At least at night, at least in the house that he pays for, specifically so that nobody would bother him? He opened his eyes, easy, just as he thought, sprang to his feet, and ran down the stairs. Something was boiling inside of him. Halfway to the door, he took a turn to the cupboard and pulled out an old baseball bat. He wasn't likely to actually use it. He asked himself if he would, as he reached for the door handle. I don't think he will. No, he certainly wouldn't. But he's angry, and he wants the night guest to learn it. What the hell? The rain was still pouring, or rather, it was actually getting stronger. And as his mother would say, and the floodgates of heaven tore open. His mother used to say lots of things. That was on a list of reasons why he had to rent his overpriced house where anyone could start banging on the door in the middle of the night. I think I read that properly. A cat, for example. What the hell? He said it again, this time out loud. A cat was standing on his porch. Okay. So obviously, we are looking at a girl. But I guess this is the personification of a cat. I'm not really sure how this is working out exactly, but I imagine this is a cat. She looked like a purebred British short hair in all respects, except for the color. She does have short hair. Aside from the smoky gray head, it seemed as if she was dropped into a vat of white paint, while her lower part was dipped into a black one. Okay, I do see a tail. She does have a tail. All right. Wet fur clung to her small, rather skinny body, dripping with water. The cat could have probably slipped into the house as soon as the door opened, but instead she froze, as if waiting for the host to say something. Let her in or refuse? Okay. Now, I know, like, if when you open the door and there's a stray cat there, you typically don't let them in. You go, hey, shoo. But, you know, some people are cat people, and we let them in. Anybody have any ideas what we should do here? I mean, I'm going to make my own mind up in a minute, but I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. If you want to, you know, put your 2 cents in, feel free. All right, obviously we're going to let her in because I want to see where this goes. I don't know if this is a good idea. It's raining cats and dogs. I got an achievement. I got an accomplishment on Steam. All right. It was cold outside, much colder than one might think. He didn't feel angry anymore. Okay, I guess the MC's name is he. All right, come in. He stepped aside, fraying the doorway. The cat didn't move. So, you don't want to? He was about to say fine then, close the door, go back to the second floor, and lie down as a suffocating half sleep until morning. But he finally realized what was wrong. The bat. He threw it away, aiming for the sofa, but missed. The bat clattered on the floorboards. The cat followed it into the darkness with her round yellow eyes. The sounds didn't frighten her. He sighed. I won't hurt you. Come in if you want. The cat raised her eyes at him. For the first time, he actually saw, and couldn't help admiring how big and yellow they were. The cat's pupils were also large and incredibly round, like 2 full moons in an eclipse. Just as he was about to close the door for the second time, the cat murmured something and fluttered into the house, butting him with her wet head as she passed by. He smiled. Strictly speaking, at this very moment, his line had ended. Wait, what? If the landlady found out, and he was sure she would, he'd have to look for a new place to live. I guess the landlady does not allow pets. There are plenty of lonely, bored seniors in the neighborhood, he thought. And they only have 2 hobbies, observing and reporting. The subject and the recipient aren't that important. So basically, he's saying he's got some snoopy neighbors, and they're going to tell on him. Well, it's fine. Maybe he'll leave the suburbs. Maybe he'd move to an apartment, since him getting privacy didn't work out anyway. The rain was getting stronger still. He closed the door. He's got a nice, cozy-looking home. The cat explored the house with cautiousness, with cautious curiosity, stopping by different objects as if trying to understand their purpose. Watching that was amusing. So amusing he even forgot about the stain. When he remembered, it was already spread out, a dark spot of water in the place where the cat clung to him. He pulled the wet cloth away from his body and stared at it blankly for a moment, then almost groaned aloud. The cat was soaked, so she probably got a lot of dirt in the house. He decided not to turn on the light. He had enough disappointment for the night. Instead, he went to get a towel. All right, come here. The cat turned her head to the voice and froze in place. She was examining the TV, a lifeless black mirror of a plasma panel and a lacquer frame that he hadn't even touched since moving in. In the reflection, the cat herself looked black. She gave him a long, apprising look, and then, with a sudden eagerness, trotted towards him, deftly avoiding the obstacles. What's going on, Flaming? How you doing, man? Welcome to Selene, Apoptosis. I have found a visual novel that has a streamer mode that I can play here for all of you. And there are a few more from the same dev that I have put on my list of visual novels to stream. All right, so where were we? So this lovely young woman in front of us, who we haven't seen her face yet, is a cat. Apparently. We've been referring to her as a cat since we found her on our doorstep. But I haven't seen a cat. I've only seen this girl. She does have a tail, though. We did see that. Now, I'm going to jump back into it, pick up right where I left off. He was surprised. Maybe the cat decided he was more interesting than the TV, or maybe she acted out of respect for her host's will. Anyway, he felt grateful. Finally, someone he can actually negotiate with. Suddenly, he thought how nice it would be to crawl under the blanket with a warm ball of fur. It would surely have helped him to fall asleep. As a child, he had a cat. Gray, huge, brash, immensely ugly, and equally beloved. He often fell asleep hugging him. The cat's name was Timo. Is that like the Timo? Is that where you get shitty products online? Oh, that's Timu. Okay, different thing. And he faded into a June night many years ago. Oh, poor Timu died. Up next, Nicopara? Nicopara? Is that a streamable game? I've heard of it. I haven't looked into it that much. The cat bumped her wet head against him once more. He thought that cats usually shake off the water themselves. Usually, perhaps not always. Hey, easy there. You're all wet. The cat looked up at him with her moon-shaped eyes and murmured something again. Do something about it then. What are you talking about, cat? He smiled and got to work. He had to squeeze the fur thoroughly, so the towel soon turned into a wet rag. Should he bathe the cat? Doesn't matter. Gotta be nice, right? Gotta bathe the cat. Gotta give it a bath. She's been out there in the rain. It's probably nasty. I would say it does matter. The cat might like it, but cats also don't like water from what I understand. We're going with it, I think. Oh, I can play Nicopara without adult content installed. Cool. Similar to this game, this one has a DLC that I just don't have downloaded. All right. The towel won't do, okay? The towel won't do by itself. I'll give you a bath. As he carried her to the bathroom, the cat stayed still in his arms. What's going on? Welcome to the stream. A warm and incredibly light body pressed against his chest. He was expecting the cat to bring out the claws any moment. Maybe as he opens the door. Now? Or as he turns the light on. Maybe this time. But nothing happened. The cat glanced around the new room and looked at him with her intelligent, almost human-like gaze. Not a single muscle in her small body moved. She was curious, and that's about it. You trust me? He was about to ask if she knows where they... I knew I'd mess up eventually. Okay. He was about to ask her if she knows where they were and what was going to happen next. But that was just too much. So it shouldn't be very difficult. The two of us can manage this. What do you think? He read somewhere a cat should get used to the new surroundings before bathing. Fear is born out of the unknown, and in that regard, people haven't gone too far from cats. New scents, unfamiliar objects, and the splashing of water. These are just shadows under the bed that will fall back if you get a better look at them. Okay. Makes sense. He carefully put the cat on the floor. She looked around the room again and returned her questioning eyes to him. It seemed like she got comfortable enough. He turned on the water in the shower and felt a gentle touch. The cat was already loitering around his feet. She was curious indeed. The shower isn't so bad as compared to the rain. Is it? The joke came out a little awkward. He felt embarrassed, and he didn't know why. All right, we got her in the shower. I think I can go ahead and click. She's just a cat. I mean, why would you be embarrassed by, saying something dumb in front of a cat? Maybe it was because of how the water glistened on her skin or how she was looking at him from under half-lowered lashes. She was actually watching. He met her eyes and each time felt shame burn through him, but that shame was thick and sweet. He was a little dizzy. His hand slid over her smooth, wet skin, and each time he would ask himself, Was it really necessary? Then he would feel her eyes on him, and his thoughts would melt, running down her thighs with the lather disappearing between her neat toes. The bathroom shimmered, molten bright, pulsating with light. Or darkness? He felt he was losing his balance, and pulled his hand away. But she returned and pressed it to the wet, hot skin covered in a soapy veil. Uh-oh, she gutted it. What's going on here? What are we guiding it to? I got an achievement that says, you love cats, cats love you back. He couldn't remember how he'd ended up in the living room again. The cat was napping peacefully in his arms. He absolutely ran his hand down the cat's wet back. Why is the cat still wet? I thought we got a bath. We didn't like dry the cat off. Tracing the bumps of her spine with his fingers. I should get you some food. The steam is a killjoy. The steam is saving the stream. The steam is what lets me continue to keep playing. Well, it may be a killjoy. It's saving my life. Let me see what I have. We're gonna go find some food for the kitty cat. He got up with just a tad bit difficulty. Nothing he couldn't handle. Still, his body felt unusually heavy and unwieldy. Yeah. Is this cat not a cat, but maybe a succubus? Like, why is his energy being drained? Did they have relations and now he's just out of it? You know how succubi are. You know how they do. He had to give the cat something to eat. He will lie down afterwards, and then, hell, maybe he'll even fall asleep. Maybe he should have gotten a cat from much earlier. A ball of fur with a pair of moon eyes and a velvety voice that you can always negotiate with. And that's about it. That's kind of funny. He could have avoided all that suffering if only he had a cat. If only. If only. I'll take a little sip of my coffee here. Yeah, we could have missed the scene, huh? It could have been a longer shower scene there. That is only in the spicy DLC. Good point. The kitchen blurred before his eyes. He got to the refrigerator and opened it, squinting from the light and leaning on the door way harder than he was supposed to. If the landlady was around at the time, she would have told him exactly so. Don't lean on the door. After all, this is her house and her refrigerator, and everything should be neat and tidy in case she has to move new tenants in. Perhaps the landlady would have even warned him about the milk. The milk itself is completely harmless, unless, of course, you are allergic to lactose. But there is a special kind of lactose-free milk, right? There is, but you're a nerd. I'm just kidding, if you're lactose intolerant. I understand. I understand, okay? It's just sad because cheese and ice cream, there's so many things. With milk, that is delicious. I'm sorry for your loss. What matters is the bottle. Bottles, much like cats, can vary greatly, but this particular one was made of glass. If only the landlady was here, she would probably have told him not to touch the bottle because he's falling on the floor and the bottle might break and then the milk would spill and he will have nothing to feed the nice cat he found. Or rather, it was her who found him, and very timely because he was lying on the floor. Something's going on with this guy. Like, is he dying and he doesn't know it? He had been lying there for some time, and would have been lying still if he hadn't felt the light touch of something hot and rough on his cheek. Light and rough? That is a cat tongue. That is a cat tongue. I guarantee it. Let's find out. It was almost like a dream, although, of course, comparing sleep with feigning isn't quite correct, no matter how you look at it. The floor beneath him was surprisingly hard, cold, and wet. He felt all of those three qualities clearly and was afraid to imagine what would happen if he tried to move. But he had to move, one way or another. at least to see what's up, because something hot and rough was still sliding up his cheek, gradually creeping up to his ear. He's about to get a wet willy. He felt a warm breath, and then a cautious bite. There it is. Ouch! He jumped on the spot. A shadow rushed to the side and then calmly began to lap milk from a puddle. He spilled the milk. Well, I can't cry over spilled milk. Are we about to see this cat and, like, we haven't seen her face or anything yet? Is this the first chance we're gonna get? She does have, oh, I was gonna say she does have like cat-like feet, but those are just like those thigh-high stockings. And this is a kitty cat right here. Hi, kitty cat. Hello. The cat. Yes, I assumed this was the cat. What are you doing? The cat looked at him briefly and licked her lips. Oh, she can speak. No need to be this dramatic. You are lying idly and you're not even a cat, see? Besides, you're soaked in milk. Well, you're right. I let you down and had to get my punishment. I let myself down too. Good Lord. Now there's cleaning to be done until... Wait, now there's cleaning to do until... Okay, whatever. The next advent, like his mother would have said. I'll go get a rag. That's not... Oh no, that's not milk. That's a lot of not milk. Stay here and don't ruin what's left of the kitchen while I'm gone, please. Thank you. The cat watched him go with a skeptical look. Aren't you the one who's been causing all the trouble so far? Whoa, whoa. When he returned with the bucket, the cat was gone. Rude. What is this? The Theater of Presents. The Theater of Presents? Okay. How to bake. Just how to bake. Okay. In the kitchen, something exciting is happening. What the fuck? What is going on? What kind of game is this? Hake! You'll need a blade. Did you take the pills? What? Hold on, what? Okay, two socks are talking. We're gonna have to change their voices up here. So, did you take the pills? Scratch out the entrails. Yeah, there's too much going on here. It's all gonna sound the same. The Egyptians widely used honey for embalming or preserving food. Later, their recipes were adopted by the Greeks. Oh shit, I don't know what's happening. I might have an epileptic seizure. Just kidding, I don't have epilepsy that I know of. But if I do, I'll find out during this game. And you guys will have something crazy entertaining to watch. Also, add a teaspoon of apricot jam, a walnut, and a little cinnamon. Oh. Before baking, put a teaspoon of butter on top of something. Microwave for 5 to 7 minutes at full power. I hope we're not microwaving the cat. I have a feeling this is... Oh, there was a head there. There was a head in there. We are microwaving a human being, I think. Don't listen to the don't listen to them scream. Is our... Oh. Bon appetit. Why? What? What's going on? What's happening right now? The next time he saw her was in a few days. Or maybe in a week? I don't know. He always had a bad sense of time, especially when he was immersed in his work. Is he like a serial killer? Is he some sort of murderer? And he just blanks out, like he blacks all of it out, so he has no clue what's going on? He still couldn't sleep, but at least he was making some progress with the script. It was a narrative game project. as the customer called it, but actually meant do whatever you have to finish on, do whatever you have to do to finish it on time, else forget about the payment. And so he did. Although he was resentful, and that got in the way a lot. I'm having trouble reading all of a sudden. The reason of those feelings was the cat. He knew how stupid that was, but he couldn't help it. He forgave her for the bite almost immediately. Well, that wasn't the thing. He was bitter about how the cat ran away, despite him trying his best to take care of her. She was nowhere to be found in the house, so he immediately thought about an open window on the second floor. Maybe he should have closed it. He dwelled on the thought for a while. I'm sure the cat will be back. I'm sure of it. He even approached the window at some point, but in the end, he decided not to do anything about it. He was hoping, and there was no shame in that. It's not the same as you turn up 10 and start eyeing girls. He was hoping the cat would come back. And she did. She did, everyone. She's back. She made it back. As cats do. He had just settled himself on the sofa with some book. Some was the word, as he couldn't remember a thing from the cover, even though he read the title several times. The symbols were floating before his eyes, and of course he couldn't make out a word. No wonder, considering he didn't sleep at all. So, this insomnia is really getting a little crazy here. When you think about it, it was surprising he could write in this state. Either way, he was barely following the book, so he wasn't upset at all when a fluffy head butted his hand. Hey, I'm trying to read here. And you don't seem to be getting anywhere. What does it matter anyway? Better scratch me right here. He complied. So you're a cat patter, huh? That's my new achievement. You were absent for a long time. I thought you wouldn't come back. Then why didn't you close the window upstairs? There's a big difference between expectations and hopes. He had learned that well. Why did you leave? Did I do anything wrong? The cat stayed silent. Bitterness, happiness. I'm just happy she's back, right? We're all happy she's back. Everybody just... How excited are you that the kitty cat's back? Alright, it doesn't matter that much. I'm happy that you're back. After all, there was no point in his grudge from the start. Nobody gains anything from holding on to small grudges and staying blind to what they really feel. That's a good life lesson. That's a good point. He wouldn't have won anything. It's not a damn lottery. The cat rubbed against his arm again. He put the book down and gently placed her on his lap. The locket around her neck, unexpectedly cold, touched his skin. And then he got a hunch. Did you go home? I have no home. Well, someone must be caring for you if they put that collar on. Sometimes a collar is just a collar. Don't you know? This time, it was him who stayed silent. The cat buried her head in his stomach. Want me to take it off? No. It is mine now. Besides, it's easier this way if I catch someone's eye on the streets. That's a good point. She can stay astray if she'd like to, if she just keeps the collar on. He nodded because, if you think about it, that was a reasonable choice. The cat's fur was thick and smooth, very pleasant to the touch. He wanted to bury his face in it, find out what it smelled like. What she smells like. Do you have a name? Of course. Everything has a name. And what's yours? The cat looked at him carefully with her bright yellow eyes, as if saying, take a guess. But she didn't actually say anything. On her locket there was a small engraving, a crescent moon that was dimly shining in the pale light coming out of the window. Selene. The cat looked up at him, and her pupils flickered into 2 full moons and an eclipse. Then she rubbed against his arm one last time and stood up, stretching, arching her back. Don't close the window on the 2nd floor. I won't. But she left, but the name stayed with him, in and around the house. This is the one thing he remembers. He can't remember the title of a book he just read, but he remembers Selene. So hummed the glass, white on the moonlight. So whispered the long shadows of the branches outside the window. Focus on the name. This name matters for some reason. I think this name matters. Who's with me? Does it matter or does it not matter? Like Selene, I think, is the one thing that is changing him maybe for the better. Because when she left, things got a little weird. So I think if he focuses on her, maybe that's what's going to keep him grounded. Possibly. I'm gonna go with it. Focus on the name. What is Selene? For some reason, the question bothered him. Oh no, I thought this would help him keep him grounded, but something is bothering him. We don't like things bothering you. Last time you microwaved a head. He vaguely remembered. It had something to do with the mythology. Uh-oh. There's mythology involved. Mythology always has something crazy going on. Such things never really caught his interest, but fortunately, he knew something he could turn to. Am I reading that right? But fortunately, he knew something he could turn to. They just added an extra word in there. We're just gonna cut that one out. We can turn to mythology. Is this Greek mythology? What's going on here? Is this a blanket? Did he kill a guy again? Pretty sure he's a kill. Oh, who's this? Who's this? Discover an alternative point of view? What? Meanie. What? Oh, wait. Who's Ethan? Maybe we're actually learning something about him now. You know I can't stand them. And you know it's me, who'll have to take care of it after all. You're basically living in the office. Ethan never liked cats. I think we're learning a bit of his past. And the dogs too, not much of a difference. He didn't like the very idea of keeping a predator at home, even a small one. He couldn't quite explain why. Hope sighed. She closed the tab with the Cattery's website and then slapped her husband lightly on the shoulder. Even so, the faces of the Persian cats, deeply depressed and equally concave, still lingered before his mind's eye. Ethan held up his hands in a conciliatory gesture. Don't throw big-ass words at me. He knew it wasn't over yet. Hope is not the one to give up this easy. She never was, and for him, there was something incredibly appealing about that. Come to think of it, quite possible it'll be him who capitulates in the end. Lots of big words here. In a relationship, you always have to sacrifice something. In 4.5 years, or even 5 according to Hope, he had learned this quite well. Suddenly, Hope frowned, looking at the screen. Seems like you've got an email from, damn. A tough one. I can't quite read it. It just hit your work mailbox. Let me see. I hope I got a new project. The Middle Ages are fine. The Middle Ages are fine and all, but they're about to start pouring out of my ears. Ethan reached for his laptop, but Hope grabbed it and dodged him. Right. why don't we talk contracts on a Sunday evening? So, which one of us is all work and no play? Well, such are the benefits of freelance. Come on, give it back. Hope giggled and leaned over the armrest, hanging over the floor. Hope's defenses withstood several more attacks. Each time, Ethan thought the laptop would definitely hit the floor. That'd be stressful. Then she gave Ethan a peck on the cheek and slid off the couch. The laptop returned to its owner. All right, I give up. I mean, what if they'll actually give you a new contract, but on the same old Middle Ages? Now, that would be a twist. Yeah, a hilarious one. But there was nothing about the Middle Ages in the letter, not a mention of the payment, too. Ethan read it several times. Leaving the formalities aside, there was but one question in the letter. Ethan, or rather, the part of him that was responsible for finding the accurate answers, got immediately enraged by the wording. What is Selene? Ethan rolled that question around in his mouth as if tasting it. At a glance, the answer was simple. Ethan's real passion was the early Renaissance, but he was a history consultant after all. At least, he liked to think of himself that way. The agency was paying him for a reason. He needed no research to tell that Selene was the goddess of the moon in the ancient Greece. In ancient Greece. The question, however, seemed to be way more intricate in its nature. Or at least, that's what Ethan wanted to think, because the Middle Ages were actually about to start pouring out of his ears. He was always diving into his work completely and living in an age where madness, curse, and death are contagious. Are contagious is an exhausting trial. That is worded very oddly. He needed some distraction. Of course, he had a part-time job with those online courses, but the platform where he lectured wasn't paying anything new just yet. All in all, the request looked interesting, if not for one small matter: the payment, or rather, the lack thereof. Ethan hesitated. The sender's name seemed familiar. He searched the email address and found out they already worked together on a couple of texts. Both times, his efforts were duly paid for by the agency. Ethan never worked for free. It wasn't his principle, but rather a matter of necessity. The problem here was the fact that Ethan loved what he was doing too much, and if you start trying to make money from what you love, that's a slippery slope. A free service there, an unpaid consultation here, and then you go back to splitting the sheet protectors 8 hours a day, watching your dreams rust away. Besides, Ethan didn't want to let Hope down. Of course, she supported him when he decided to go freelance, but Ethan never wanted to take advantage of that. No, that won't do. He works only on a contract and does not give free consultations. Just as he was about to give that as a response, Hope's bare head popped up from behind the door. Are you coming? On the walk, Hope brought up the cat thing a few more times. Ethan protested absently. His thoughts were back to the letter again and again. To that question. The more he thought about it, the more he wanted to find the answer. It was no longer a matter of helping an acquaintance whose name Ethan immediately forgot. No. It was Ethan himself who needed a little help with distraction and an answer. That was the weird thing to do, but Ethan waited until Hope was fast asleep. Only then did he sneak over to his laptop to write a response. Certainly he had no real answer as of yet. He threw a few dozen polite words, the general meaning of which was he had taken up the case, and he clicked send. When Ethan returned to bed, Hope was still breathing slow and deep. He listened to her breath for a while, trying not to think that he had broken his own rule. After all, he really needed a distraction. No matter the strength of your affection, sooner or later, you will want to take a break. It was another thing he had learned over the past 4.5 years. Did he not like her? That sounded like something where it's like, I'm done with this bitch. Excuse my language. I'm sure she's a lovely lady. If Ethan had to point out when things started to be off, he would say it was on Saturday. That is, about a week after the first letter. But this, of course, wouldn't be accurate. Those weird things started happening almost immediately after he pressed the send button. Oh. The first night he saw a room in his dreams. Getting crazy here. Oh, and it has a couch. At least it has a couch we can sit down. Relax. A chipped white ceiling and similarly rough walls lit with fluorescent lamps. Ethan couldn't see the lamps themselves, but he recognized the cold, shimmering light. They often used those lamps in the offices. The light filled the room to the brim. Ethan thought it was about to burst, and then the light would splash all over the room, just like the juice from a squished tomato. Speaking of tomatoes, there's a red couch. Apart from the walls and the light, the room had a red sofa. The sofa stood just a bit aside from the center, not too large, quite faded, flooding with shimmering white light. This light made the sofa seem to be trembling a little, and the room trembled with it. Very interesting. Suddenly, Ethan thought it would be way better if the sofa was standing right in the middle. Then he felt something on his temple, a touch. He had to flinch, scream, stumble to the side, yet he couldn't. He was paralyzed. Only his eyes could move, and they desperately tried to reach beyond his field of vision, where something was touching his temple. Ethan felt a faint flow of air, as if someone was whispering in his ear. He didn't hear the whisper, just one word. Ethan no longer remembered what the word was when he jumped up in his bed, gasping for air. Hope muttered something in her sleep and turned to the other side. It took a long time to get back to sleep, but by morning Ethan did pass out, and when he woke up, the dream wiped out of his mind pretty quick. The task at hand interested him much more than some muck spilling out of his subconscious. He was thinking about the task while he was chewing on the morning toast, driving to the bank, and all the way back. It was like a Christmas present waiting for its time in the closet. Waiting for its time in the closet? Okay. The more you tell yourself you shouldn't think about it, the more you do. Okay, that makes sense. We've all been there. At home, Ethan tried to stick to his plan, working on the project he was paid for, but ended up sitting over a single report for several hours. He couldn't squeeze out a letter. To hell with it. After all, he was almost done with his current project. It wouldn't be much of a problem if he presented the result a bit later on, would it? Besides, it was really time for him to get a breather. Yeah, it's really time for him to get a breather, you know? One can't be spending so much time in a world where madness, curse, and death are contagious. To hell with it, Ethan thought as he closed the files of the project he was paid for. There was plenty of information, but Ethan knew he would not get an answer right away. The accurate answers, just like the precious pearls, lay at great depths. He had to go down to the very bottom. Ethan was not afraid. He had done it many times. His counterpart might have to wait for a week or so, but Ethan knew he'll manage to crack the riddle. Okay, something's gonna crack his brain. I don't know which one. What's going on? What he didn't know is what else could be found at those great depths. This is not good. At some point in his investigation, or in this investigation that is, things started happening. Ooh, man. Oh, the goosebumps. Oh, the goosebumps I just got. I love when that happens when I'm playing a game. It means it's a good story. Or I'm just easily entertained. I don't know which one it is, but it's cool. It's cool. He started hearing sparse phrases, even though he never turned on the TV or radio, and Hope wasn't even at home. When he sat in front of the screen, once again trying to connect the dots in his research, he could feel someone looking at the back of his head. When he turned around, of course, there was no one in the room. Oh shit, that was weird. Did you see the shadow on the screen? I thought I waved my hand in front of it for a second. Cool effect. Or I'm seeing things that aren't there too. I like the psychological horror aspect of this game. It's really cool. It's really like just fun to like let it slowly progress. I like that. Eventually, he taught himself not to turn around. He just got angry, pushing his fingers into his temples when the familiar feeling appeared again. I'm like looking at the screen, seeing if there's anything that's going to happen that I might miss if I stop looking. He started losing things. Or rather, things would disappear and then appear in the strangest of places. One day he found his pencil in the freezer, stuck in a minced meat briquette. I think that he's having blackouts. He's starting to get murderous blackouts. Even when the briquette melted down, he couldn't pull the whole pencil out. All Ethan got was a bloody stump. Ooh. But yeah, things are happening. At this point, he could stop and think of it. But he got distracted, but got distracted by the coffee maker and mindlessly shoved a stump into the trash bin. Oh, I saw the shadow again. There was something wrong with the shadows too. Something, man. Ugh, getting creeped out a little. They became sharper, thicker, and deeper. And it was the case in the whole apartment. Sometimes they moved. They definitely move. Of course, Ethan only felt like they were moving. It couldn't have been any other way. Ethan didn't really pay attention to any of this, just like he did with that dream he had. All of that seemed very familiar, as he already experienced similar things during the periods of intense work, when his nervous system was exhausted by the workload. There was always a rational explanation: distress, or those new, much more environmentally friendly light bulbs that Hope had installed all around the apartment. Besides, it's so easy to dismiss this sort of things when you're deeply invested into something. And this question really got Ethan involved. Every time he seemed to get it right, his thoughts went off. Like he was climbing a rock, but a safe ledge suddenly turned slippery, and the next thing he knew, he's at the bottom again. He never faced anything like that during his previous research. There were times he had to spend weeks or months looking for the right answers. Those were the tricky cases. But at least he could always tell how his research is progressing. This time, he was stumbling in his tracks without knowing why, and that was all he could tell. The week was over, but he still had nothing to send back to his contract. In his reply, Ethan asked a couple of questions. Not that he was really interested, just a curiosity, or just a courtesy. And that's how their surprisingly exciting email conversation started. With this, Ethan's contract grew to be something more, something of a friend maybe. He never asked how Ethan's work was progressing. This was the question Ethan asked himself, and the answer was never good for him. Interesting. I'm looking at these paintings on the walls too. They could mean something. Of course, he started sleeping badly. Falling asleep was easy, but he woke up many times during the night, sometimes in cold sweat. Ethan could not remember his dreams. That night, he woke up about 3 or 4 times. At first, Ethan was lucky enough to fall asleep almost immediately after he woke up. But at some point, his eyes got open again. This time, the sleep wouldn't come. Ethan felt terribly thirsty. He found no slippers on the usual spot. The noise could wake up Hope. So he decided not to look for them, and only regretted it when approaching the kitchen. The floor was bloody cold. So cold that Ethan unconsciously looked down. Don't do it. I don't want to look down. Oh. What? Oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Who are you? Okay. And when he was looking up again, he saw a shadow. No doubt that shadow belonged to a woman. Of course it belongs to a woman. A naked woman. Ethan could clearly see the points of her nipples as the shadow turned around. No wonder. It's freezing cold here. Makes sense. The shadow moved slowly along the wall, floating in a rectangular pool filled with moonlight. She was dancing. And the humming silence in Ethan's ears was her music. Ethan was watching her, unable to move. He was paralyzed, just like back when then in his dream. But he did not remember it. At that moment, he didn't remember anything at all. Couldn't think about anything at all. What is this? He felt an itch in his eyes, and the momentary urge to blink. For a fraction of a second, he could only see the thick, viscous darkness, and when he opened his eyes again, there was no shadow anymore. The glowing rectangle shifted its place and now lay on the kitchen floor at Ethan's feet. He could see the cold white light flowing into the seams between the tiles on the floor. For some reason, he took a deep breath, then stepped forward into the rectangle of light. Nothing happened. And what was supposed to happen? What did he really see? Did he really see anything? He walked deeper into the room, much bolder, grabbed the decanter, and started to drink in big, greedy sips. Water streamed down his chin and chest, hitting the tiles on the floor, and poured into the grooves of the seams. No, that wasn't a delusion. The kitchen was completely empty, and the floor felt warm again, and yet it wasn't a delusion. And all of this was begging for a rational explanation. That's why Ethan decided he should talk to Hope in the morning. Not a good idea. Your girlfriend or wife or somebody is going to think you're crazy. Right here, I'm going to take a tiny little break just to take a sip of my coffee. Say hi to you guys. Anyone who's new here, just jumping in, welcome. Make sure you guys smack that thumbs up, if you will. If you like if you don't like the stream, then you don't have to. What are you all thinking so far? This is very interesting. This is way more of the game than what I had previously played. Like I said, several years ago, I played a demo of it. Definitely didn't get this far. Definitely didn't get this far into it. I don't even know if this much of the game was available. I also don't know what year this game came out, to be honest. This is really cool. Really cool story. Like I said already, I like this like psychological horror aspect of the game. It starts out like a kind of like a darker theme, unlike other psychological games. Like Doki Doki comes to mind, but that's all cutesy for like most of the game, and only turns cuckoo, like, I don't know, halfway through it or whatever. Anyway, yeah, we're going to continue on. I actually want to check up here. There's some dots up here in the corner. I want to see what those are. Oh, shit. What? Well, uh-oh. No. Oh. Okay, there's a TV program. Devil is made of clay and tomato soup, just like any human being. Okay. All right. Oh. Interview with the devil. It's getting late, and then I come. She serves tomato soup. She used to serve other things, but not anymore. I'm in the tomato soup. They both eat tomato soup, and that's how I get in. I am confused by that. Okay. So, maintenance, talk show. Those are two TV programs I think we've discovered. 69? Nah, we better not go to channel 69. I'm gonna just, boop. And then what does something change? Let's see. January 11th. Oh, shit. Whoa, 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 whoa. A lot just came out. Where did it? I don't know. There we go. There we go. Okay, January 11th. The new school is okay. I wish I could make friends with someone, though. Mom is working late again. It's fine. I've lifted a very heavy box when we moved in. Mom couldn't pick it up herself. I'm a big boy now, and big boys aren't afraid of anything. I'll just turn on the lights and watch TV with Timo and my friends. Timo's the cat he had when he was a kid, so this is going back to his childhood now. All of the cool stuff with animals or robots or aliens, but not the creepy kind. May 3rd. Mom is acting funny and smells funny too. She says she loves me all the time, but I'm a little bit something when she's like that. Mom's acting funny and smells funny. She's probably an alcoholic. That's what I'm guessing. Did you give anyone the apartment keys? You know, by chance? So I think this is morning. I think he's about to talk to his girlfriend. Yeah, Hope. What? Hope froze up at the cupboard and her lip. Wait. Hope froze with a cup at her lips and blinked several times. Maybe you let someone in? I didn't. No. What's with those questions? I feel like someone is visiting our place. What do you mean? Exactly what I said. It's been a while since I started noticing random things vanish, and yesterday Hope frowned. She looked at Ethan as if a toad had just popped out of his mouth. Yesterday you... what? Say it bluntly. Answer, let's just be blunt. Honesty is the best policy. Even if you're gonna upset someone, you gotta be honest. I saw someone in her kitchen last night. Some girl. The deep line of Hope's forehead disappeared. She leaned back in her chair and laughed, throwing her head back. Oh, what a show you put on. Okay, fine, I confess. I stole your cupcakes. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I barely see you lately, so sweet pastries are my best shot to get some fun at night. Damn, I didn't realize you still remember that cupcakes even existed. I was lying around in the fridge. Wait, it was lying around in the fridge for what, 3 days? Hope glanced at Ethan, expecting him to start laughing too, yet He still looked very serious. She noticed for the first time that the whites of his eyes were pinkish and full of broken capillaries. Her smile slowly faded. Come on, maybe you've left the keys unattended somewhere? I always leave my keys when I'm in the office, but I'm pretty sure there are no cat burglars among my colleagues. Come to think of it, we should have hired a bunch. Let's see. That balance the risks of going broke we have... Wait. That balance the risk of going broke we have on a monthly basis. Having cat burglars hired. Okay. You sure none of your colleagues would play a joke on us? A joke? God. Good God, Ethan. You look like you're about to eat me alive. Take a bun instead. Tastes better. Trust me. Hope pulled her chair closer to Ethan and took his hand. Please, hon. Promise me you'll take a break after that project of yours is finished. I mean, one cycle is enough for our family. I'll be the judge of that. We'll see what tastes better. Oh, let's see. Okay. I can close that. You promise? Ethan suddenly felt like a total idiot. A tired, total idiot. A naked girl in your kitchen? Yeah, sure. He probably overworked to the point he started being delirious at times. Maybe even walked in his sleep. He squeezed Hope's fingers lightly. I promise. Sorry, I'm a moron. I probably stopped seeing the difference between dream and reality. Why don't you call Laura? Nah, a shrink is the last thing I need right now. My bad. Sure, that'd be just too cruel. Oh, my bad, sure, but that'd be too cruel. What I need is to finish that project. After all the gears in my head will fall into place. I give you my word. Don't be like that. I mean, there's no need to start full-fledged therapy anyway. Sometimes talking through your worries with a professional is all it takes to feel better. Well, at least I shouldn't have pressed you on it. I get that you have enough problems of your own right now. It's going to be your new... How's it going to be your new position? Oh, how's it going in your new position? That's what he's asking. Hope rested her head on his shoulder and shrugged. Not fired yet, apparently. Seriously, though, I haven't figured it out yet. Those new responsibilities are exciting, but I always feel like I'm 10 times slower than I should be. I should probably get ready for a nice fat piece of overtime by the end of the month. Ethan kissed her forehead, closed his eyes, and squeezed the bridge of his nose. Well, I'm not ahead of a excuse me. Well, I'm not ahead of a department as of yet. But I seem to have the same stuff on my plate. There we go. I got it out. It took a second. Just how do you manage not to pester me with stupid questions? What? Well, I eat cupcakes at night. No. You should give it a try. Hope poked Ethan's cheek a couple of times with her finger. Anyways, don't worry. I didn't give keys to anyone, and the only cat anything I've let inside was an actual stray cat. Now that I think of it, it's been ages since we had any company. Maybe we should, A cat? A cat. Hope sighed and pulled away. Please don't get all worked up, okay? At least I'm being open with you. Don't worry. She didn't wander around. Hope, we've talked this over already. We've talked what over? The fact that The fact that what I want doesn't really matter? Oh no, don't pull that card. Damn it, Hope. This is my apartment and you're staying here alone now. Oh, what? Hope finished her tea and a couple of gulps. I have to go to the office. She stopped at the door, not turning around. She leaving me? Sorry about the cat. She was really skinny and I felt sorry for her. I also feel sorry for myself, Ethan, because I'm lonely. Really lonely. This time Ethan felt like an angry idiot. He got up from the table and reached for Hope. Hope, don't. I will start crying. I'll take time, and I don't have any. Wait. It'll take time, and I don't have any to spare right now. Ooh. See you tonight. Maybe. See you tonight. He didn't know what else to say, so he followed Hope into the hall like a silent shadow. He thought the right words would come to him, but the entrance door closed and he remained silent. Ethan sighed. He regretted his decision to talk about the night episode. He regretted how the talk turned out. He felt sorry for himself and for Hope. After all, Ethan was well aware of that. He really didn't spend enough time with her. At first, because the agency project, now because of the question to which he still could not find an answer. It was time to end this. He's going to make some coffee, then he'll open the laptop and write up some answer. It won't be an accurate one, but it's really time to finish that work marathon. After all, he doesn't even get paid for this. Or for his time, that is. Ethan nodded to the closed door and turned around, ready to execute the plan. Oh, shit. That's when he saw her. Just for a split second, but damn it, he saw her. A black-haired girl flashed in the doorway of one of the rooms. Not even flashed, but drifted. Like a... Ethan's mouth went dry. Shadow. Of course, there was no one in the room. This has gone too far. Ethan had gone too far, but he couldn't turn back, even though he was going to. He didn't even make any coffee. He wanted to get rid of that question, get a good night's sleep, and forget about the whole thing. Oh, 1 second. All right. I am back. My daughter came in to ask me a question. Startled the shit out of me because we're in like a scene that is very creepy. So I saw someone out of the corner of my eye and I like jumped a little. I don't know if you guys caught that. All right, here we go. Man, kind of took me out of the immersion though. Can we get it back? Can we get it back? We will see. Right, here we go. Forget about the shadow that danced in his kitchen. Forget about the pale silhouette that wandered through his apartment. Forget about this very moment someone is looking at the back of his head, and that look makes his skin feel as cold as the kitchen floor last night, and the hairs, one by one, stand on end. Ethan clenched his teeth, not with anger, but with some new emotion he couldn't name. The blood hummed in his ears, louder and louder. It will all be over after he writes the letter. It will be over. He opened his laptop. His hands were shaking a little and was putting his fingers over the keyboard when his cell phone rang. Ethan flinched. He stared blankly for a few seconds as the vibrating rectangle of glass and plastic crawled across the table. Don't. Do not answer. Don't do it. Suddenly he grabbed the phone and pushed the accept button. Ethan himself didn't know how that happened. He just did it, that's all. The phone pressed tight against his ear. He waited for a hoarse, gurgling voice to call his name and tell him to look behind. Do not do that. Or what is supposed to happen in cases like this. Ethan? Hope? Were you expecting someone else, you dolt? Okay, sorry. I'm super uneasy, and so I'm talking nonsense. Yeah, I'm uneasy too. And that was completely true. Look, am I distracting you right now? You are, and I'm very happy about it. Go on, please. That's great. Look, I didn't come off well at breakfast, right? It didn't come off well at breakfast, right? Yes. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry I'm being awful. No, I'm sorry. Both of us have it hard right now. So let's try not to fight, okay? Great idea. Why don't we go out tonight? Say, for groceries? Counts as going out, if you ask me. I'll go crazy being cooped up like that. Oh, so that's what's driving me nuts. Should go out for zucchini more often. So, what do you say? Okay, we're going to buy all the zucchini tonight. Hope laughed. Ethan suddenly realized that the blood wasn't buzzing in his ears. No one was looking at the back of his head, and if he turned around, he would only see Hope's socks that she'd left on the chair again. Hope? I love you. I love you too, very much. See you tonight. After finishing the call, he turned around. The socks were resting peacefully on the chair, which meant everything was okay. He went back to the email. He went back to the mail, and only then noticed several new letters. 2 of them were from his counterpart. Ethan hesitated. He had already decided his course of action concerning the question, so there was no harm in taking a look. He won't feel any guilt. After all, he had already done far more than he should have. Of course, he is a lifesaver for those wanting to sell books mentioning historical accuracy, but having no intentions to pay for it properly. And so what? He doesn't have to do a perfect job for free. Hell, he doesn't even work for free. That's what Ethan thought. Then he opened the 2 letters he got and changed his highly reasonable decision. His counterpart was asking how soon he would get an answer. So, this happened after all. The tone was very polite and apologetic. He wasn't expecting anything, but he really needed the help. But he really needed the help of someone competent. According to the emails, he wasn't doing very well. The poor man had been suffering from insomnia for an insane amount of time, and it seems that he too began imagining things. It was as if Ethan saw himself from the outside. He suddenly felt sorry for his acquaintance. Of course, he had begun to feel sorry for him earlier, but now Ethan felt a sharp, bitter pity. He realized that if he helps his acquaintance, he will help himself. But if he steps back now, what is the value of a specialist who is afraid of a little change? As Hope once said, the career ladder is made of thorn. Of course, he no longer worked in an office, but professional growth requires twice as much effort if you're self-employed. And besides, Ethan had Hope. Hope, who never gives in so easily and forgets her socks on the chair. Hope, who loves him very much. Hope, who will go to the store with him tonight because being cooped up like that can drive one crazy. This must be what was happening to his acquaintance right now. Ethan had to help him. Not because of money, but because he could, and because it was the right thing to do. They both finished their projects, and they will both finish their projects, and then they will have a good rest. They might even go out for a glass of beer together. So Ethan thought, and got back to the question with the newfound strength. The pages of the book did not rustle in the far corner of the room. The shadows weren't wandering in the corridor, and certainly no one looked at the back of his head until the evening. And in the evening, Hope came back. Hope looked up from her magazine and leaned over the armrest. You had a call from the agency. Ethan just got back from the shower. He froze in place, clutching the towel at his wrist. Something cold stirred uncomfortably in his stomach. The project. He had completely forgotten about the agency project, and it had been more than 2 weeks. The deadline was very close. He started for the phone, but Hope just waved her hand lazily. Don't worry, I picked up. What did you tell them? I told them you stopped eating, sleeping, and loving anything other than work. So they'll get their files all nice and shiny. Pretty accurate, huh? Yeah. Just don't pick up the phone again, okay? Hope shrugged. Sure. I mean, it was you who asked me to answer the calls in the first place. Yes, I know. Well, when I just started working for them, it was important to let them see I am always in touch. Now that I've passed the probation period, there's no point in piling this on you any longer. Thank you for covering for me. No problem. If you're getting a call and I'm not too lazy to go pick it up, I can keep watching your back. Nah, you really shouldn't. This project is complicated. I'd rather deal with it myself. Ethan sat rigid. He never considered himself a good liar, but Hope didn't seem to notice anything. She sighed, pretending to be upset, and rolled her eyes. Well now, guess I'm being fired from an unpaid secretary job without any honors or compensation. Capitalism sucks. Ethan leaned over, tucked a strand of blonde hair behind her ear, and looked into her eyes. His hand remained on Hope's cheek. Your help is very important to me. Hope's hand went over to his. She closed her eyes. I know. I couldn't have done it without you. Oh, he said that. I couldn't have done it without you. What else is new? They kissed. When Hope pulled away, she looked pleased, a sly smile on her lips. Are we still going to the store? I'm not sure. They reached for each other again, but the phone gave a shrill ring. After the phone call this morning, Ethan turned the silent mode off. Oh well. My city needs me. Ethan briefly pressed his lips to her forehead. Hope sighed and slapped his ass. If God exists, he really wants us to buy some zucchini. So I'll go get dressed. The call was from the agency. They needed more details and dates. Ethan went out into the hallway and tried to make it sound as plausible as it could. Yes, he understands the deadline is very close. No, there were no serious hitches in the work. Yes, he will send everything on time. When the call finally ended, Ethan's neck and face were flushed by this time. He was a lousy liar after all. Ethan had to catch his breath. When he returned to the room, Hope was reaching for his laptop. What are you doing? Hope glanced at him over the shoulder. This time, she looked surprised. Nothing special, really. Just wanted to print out some discount coupons. What about it? Ethan left a bunch of files and tabs open. They had nothing to do with the agency project, and he didn't want Hope to see them. After all, she didn't know enough about his projects to serve as a sort of secretary. About all the projects, except the one that Ethan shouldn't have taken because it wasn't paid for. Maybe his fears were irrational. Maybe Hope wouldn't blame him. But Ethan felt ashamed, and he didn't want to take any chances after what had happened this morning. I have lots of unsaved files in there. Some important information might get lost. Can I print those coupons myself? Ethan felt the heat rise again in his neck and cheeks. Hope stared at him for a few seconds. Ethan couldn't read the expression on her face, and that creeped him out. He was ready to hear the reproaches. He even agreed with them in his mind, but Hope simply walked away. Sure. I'll send them to your mail. Interesting. What's going on here? They spent most of the way to the store in tense silence. A few times Ethan asked something, just to make sure Hope was still talking to him. Hope was, though the answers were dry and she never even attempted to make a joke. It's not that bad, Ethan told himself. It's not that bad at all. If you repeat it again and again, you can buy a little time. But in the end, the anxiety will prevail. It always does. Ethan's mind quickly figured out the owner was trying to trick it and spat out the chewing gum. At that moment, Ethan got caught in an avalanche of thoughts he didn't want to deal with and couldn't in his current state. Something had to be done. To be said. But what? Maybe he should actually do something after all. Ethan imagined touching Hope's fingers, and he immediately saw her pulling the handbag, her eyes glistening. How she opens her mouth to ask a question Ethan had no answer to. They'd have to talk one way or another. Ethan didn't know where to start without burying himself even deeper. He had been thinking about it the whole way, but never came up with anything. Did she read his email and now she knows the question and she just asked him? I'm not exactly sure. I'm a little lost in this part of it. Like, I know she saw something on his computer and now her demeanor has changed. The huge supermarket on the next block, a place they had long dubbed the store, was bustling with life, despite the rather late hour. As soon as they entered the large glass doors, the tension began to come off on its own. All right. Hello, Hope. The cards were scarce, but Ethan got them one in exchange for a coupon. Hope gave him a thumbs up with not bad at all expression on her face. What's up, Supreme Creep? How you doing? Little bit. It's all right. You're right on time in my book. Hope enthusiastically presented a huge, colorful, utterly ludicrous mug, and Ethan immediately agreed they had to buy it. They tried to find a pair for the mug, but a brooding supermarket employee said it was the last one. They were a little disappointed, but, well, at least that was something, you know? Looking for the mug was the thing that finally did the trick. Now they were huddled together, looking for their favorite treats, and arguing about which breakfast cereals are the best. That's how it was until they reached the meat department. I'll go pick up something before it's all cleared. Hope nodded absently. She was stuck at one of the big fridges in the middle of the hall. Okay, I'll be waiting for you here. The meat shelves were half empty, as usual at this hour. Ethan was hoping to find a steak or some minced meat. However, he soon forgot about broth. Who dis? Uh-oh, this is a silhouette we've been seeing. There was a girl standing by one of the shelves. Ethan couldn't see her face, only her pale back under a white dress with thin straps, and also her disheveled dark hair. Ethan's cheek was stung with cold, as if his face was lying on the shelf in one of those refrigerated display cases. Ooh. Just between the pork ribs and a lone ribeye, a black polystyrene foam tray. Is that her? Ethan took a few uncertain steps forward. Then he backed away, almost knocking over a nice old lady. He couldn't even muster an apology. He grabbed the first thing that came to hand and turned around the nearest row of shelves. He tried not to run, because it would have looked just too stupid. Ethan explained to himself as he reached the end of the row and peered around the corner. The girl was still picking out meat. Isn't what you're doing now stupid too? For sure it is, Ethan agreed with himself. The cold no longer burned his cheek, and the girl seemed quite ordinary. Except she was dressed too lightly for the current weather, but that was still not considered a crime in any of the states. Ethan smiled to his own thoughts. Generally speaking, the girl was rather attractive, and her light clothing allowed one to fully appreciate it. Her thin waist passing into a seductive curve of her hips, and beneath the folds of the white fabric, one could make out her rounded buttocks. Then, what? I wasn't doing anything. I was asking, broccoli or Brussels sprouts? Hope stood still with two colorful plastic bags in her hands, looking at Ethan questioningly. He blinked several times, squinting as if he had just stepped out into the bright light from a darkened room. When did he get back to Hope? Why was he holding a bottle of Thousand Island dressing? He was supposed to be grabbing meat, and he grabbed Thousand Island. I don't know. He was a little dizzy. Are you all right? Yeah. Yeah, never mind. I'm sorry. I was just lost in thought. Hope tried not to look in the direction Ethan had been focusing on for so long. She really tried, but sometimes trying isn't enough, no matter how much effort you put in. At that very moment, the dark-haired girl's light white dress was floating away from the meat shelves. She must have finally made her choice. I see. For a moment, Ethan thought both colorful plastic bags were about to slap him in the face. But Hope just smiled and tossed the bags into the cart. Ethan heard them crunch loudly as they hit the bottom. Well, let's take both. Variety is the spice of life. I suppose it is. And that's why he was looking for variety. What is a man without his zucchini? I'm just reading off from the achievements as they unlock. They haven't bought any zucchini. We left the store without zucchini. What is going on here? That night, he had another dream about the White Room. Not okay. Not okay at all. The walls were still trembling softly in the cold light. Everything in the room, including the air, was oozing tension, anguishing in anticipation of what was about to happen. And something was really about to happen. No doubt about it. Ethan suddenly realized he was looking at the room from an odd angle. He seemed to be standing on something, but he couldn't feel anything under his feet. No support. He tried to look down, but he only saw the shimmering air. He had no legs, and nothing above the missing parts, or nothing above the missing legs. As if he was not there. Or rather, he was. The shimmering air, the chipped ceiling, and the walls that were still trembling. Oh, he's the room. Interesting. He was the red sofa, a little away from the sitter, and a couple of unremarkable white doors on opposite walls of the room that were not there the last time. And that should not have been there. Nothing can be done about it right now. What are we looking at? Just a couch. The doors have appeared, and there was nothing that could be done about it now. Okay. The light grew dim, now pulsating noticeably. I see that. It was still emanating from the room in its entirety, reflecting from the white walls, but most of all, from the twin bra on the top between two doors that were not supposed to be there. A twin bra? Did I read that right? For some reason, Ethan tried to catch the rhythm of the light with his breath, yet he couldn't. There were two figures sitting on the sofa, one fair, the other dark. The dark one came into the room through one of the doors, but Ethan couldn't guess which one. The fair one was Hope. Oh, am I gonna have to make a choice here? Hope, what are you doing here? You can't be here. You have to leave right now, or something will happen. The pulse of light became faster. Uh-oh! The dark one moved towards Hope and tucked a blonde strand of hair behind her ear. Everything was happening very slowly, as if underwater. There was something odd about the dark one. Something about her was wrong, but Ethan couldn't guess what. She leaned towards Hope's ear and covered her mouth with her hand, and Hope leaned towards her and listened very carefully, as if they had a mutual secret amongst themselves. Something was about to happen. They both looked at Ethan. Even though Ethan wasn't here, or rather, he was nowhere because no white room ever existed. Then one of them smiled. The dark one's fingers slid down Hope's chin. A soft, rounded line. They were no longer looking at Ethan, only at each other very closely, and were slowly inhaling the light. Oh, interesting. The dark one stroked Hope's cheek, and there was no light left between their ajar lips as they collided. Ethan saw drops of saliva glistening on their lips. The dark one licked her lips and raised her tongue to make space for a long black snake as it got out of her mouth. What? The snake swayed, tasted the air with its own tongue, and reached out to Hope. Hope closed her eyes. Now the snake was stroking her cheek, long and black, over and over again, in a spiral, always in a spiral. Hope reached for the band that covered her eyes, and the dark girl reached for her hand. And their fingers intertwined, and the light between their lips melted, as it always happens at sunset. Yet there was no snake. It was just a black ribbon, a poisonous ribbon covered in scales. The pulse of the room became faster. One of the lamps came into an eclipse. She has a number of faces. That's a clue. The bodies of two girls merged on the sofa, and his own flesh was shaking and shrinking. Ligaments, valves, bones, vessels, in places where they came very close to the shabby red upholstery. His heart rate became faster. 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 Then something happened. Ethan woke up. His breath was bubbling in his throat. The ceiling above him was flaring with immeasurable darkness, and down below his stomach he felt a searing heat. The heat was so intense, Ethan had to sneak into the bathroom, and as his old man used to say, he had to squeeze it off. He had to squeeze it off? He had to take a shit. And not just once, but whopping two. Or did he have to squeeze one out? Or, I don't know. After that, Ethan loomed over the sink and was looking at himself in a small rectangular mirror for quite a while. At some point, his lips started trembling. Ethan did not wait to see where this was going. He spat into the sink, let the water in for a while, then he turned the lights off. Is the sheets? What's about to happen here? Ethan didn't want morning to come. Something has changed again. So, let's go to the TV program. Let's see what has changed. What is this? How to make the tomato soup. We definitely need to, we all need to know how to make tomato soup. At some point, they had to remove her fingernail. An accident at the factory. She got lost. It's legal, but it's painful still. Devil comes from the little cracks. They don't tell you at school. Okay. All right. No time to cook? We've got an answer on the shelf. Tomato soup. What the heck is that? Made with fresh tomatoes and I wish you'd never been born. Okay. What's happening right now? We got a commercial break and a cooking show. What did we miss here? We'll never know. All right. And something in here changed. He didn't want to wake up, to see the hidden grudge in Hope's eyes, to listen to the awkward silence, and to seize every opportunity to say a word to break it. We're going to click on this now. February 13th. An awful day. I was crazy scared for Mom. She says she'll have some days off and we'll be watching movies and eating waffles. I love that. But she looks very sad. I don't know what to do. October 8th. I got an F for the essay. Mom will be mad. The bus driver said it was good and I should keep writing. He's nice, but I'd rather have a B anyway. Hope Mom isn't too... Probably, I'm assuming she's an alcoholic. I think right there it's probably drunk or something. And I don't know if it's blurring that word out because of just how the game works or because streamer mode is on. Like it's even blurred out crap like that. We can't talk about alcoholism. Anyway, we already read this part. Hopefully Hope is not mad. But morning did come, and Ethan was in for a surprise. Everything was fine. Very much so. Hope got up early to make a superior breakfast, the kind Ethan was never able to cook, even when he really wanted to. She was talking to him. She was joking. She listed at least 10 places they would go when their schedules became more relaxed. The nightmare seemed to be over. Simply washed away down the drain with the rest of all things excess he used to have in his body. The image was so real that Ethan got completely relaxed, let his guard down, dazed by the cute nonsense, waffles with cream and delicious Turkish coffee. Then Hope asked a question. Do you think a darker hair color would suit me? Uh-oh. The coffee suddenly turned solid and stuck in his throat. Ethan felt as if it wasn't coffee at all, but finely ground glass. He coughed. What? Hope put her elbows on the table and sipped from her cup as if nothing had happened. I was just thinking about becoming a brunette. What do you say, huh? I don't know. I'm fine with everything as it is. As long as you like it, I guess. Tiny pieces of glass were still catching him from the inside. Ethan tried to clear his throat, but it didn't get much better. But why? Oh wait, but why? Were you thinking about it? Ethan struggled to speak. He felt as if he was falling into a pit, and the air was whistling in his ears. Well, one has to change from time to time. Variety is good, isn't that right? She took another sip. Besides, I find plenty of dark hair all over the apartment. Oh. Not very long, you know, but not too short either. About this length. Even before Hope tapped her neck with the edge of her hand, Ethan knew where the hand would stop. And so I thought, if I go brunette, I can believe those hairs are mine. Does she think he's cheating? Hope's lips stretched, and the corner of her mouth turned up. But she wasn't smiling. This isn't happening. This just can't be happening. He must still be asleep. This is a dream, just a shitty dream, and it will end. Now Ethan desperately wanted morning to come, but morning just couldn't come for the second time in a day. Hope leaned back in her chair and looked at him with her head on one side, a fake smile smoldering on her lips. Something had to be done about it. All of it. Right this moment. Come up with an explanation line. Try to explain the truth. Well, I don't want to lie to her. And the truth is that he needs help. Ethan, okay, look, something strange is going on. Yeah, I could tell as much. Oh, I'm serious. Something strange is going on, and I have no explanations. Neither good nor bad, none at all. Oh, really? Actually, I might have an idea or two. Wait. I'm not saying that yesterday in the store... Ethan stopped short. Go on. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. I'm not saying I didn't stare at that girl. I did, and it's obvious. I was trying to... She reminds me of someone, and I was trying to figure out if I was mistaken. I know what it looks like, and it's my fault. Ethan decided to omit the part about well-rounded buttocks under the light flowing fabric, as he should. Not because he wanted to look better, but because he knew it would hurt Hope, and he really didn't want to hurt her. I'm sure Hope's buttocks is fine. Please forgive me if you can. I did a shitty thing, but I'm really sorry. He put his hand on the table so that their fingers touched a little. Hope didn't move away. Next time we go shopping, you can stare at everyone you like. I'll try my best not to cry. Can't promise anything, though. Hope winced, but Ethan knew she was hiding a smile. All right, then. But keep in mind, I'll pick the hottest ones. I don't stand a chance, do I? She smiled wider and ruffled his hair. Absolutely. And about the hairs. Hope's smile disappeared without a trace. I don't know where they came from. Seriously, there's something wrong here. Ethan, please, I don't want to... No, listen, please. I really think that some intruder is getting inside of her apartment somehow. Do you believe me? Hope looked at him for a while. Then she shivered. Damn you, Ethan. Yes. I do believe you. I don't understand how this happens or what they want, but I think it's time to call the police. And let them sort it out. It's their job, after all. Maybe you should actually call Laura first. I think it's the time. Yes, I'll do that as well. Hope pressed his hand. Let's promise each other we won't go crazy, okay? I also see things. All sorts of things. I mean, sometimes you find hairs. Just some damn hairs. And you start questioning everything. We just need to get through these dark times somehow. It'll get better. I'm sure it will. Ethan nodded. Yeah. Hope pressed his hand again and got up from the table. Okay, I have to go now. I'll probably be late, and we'll have to hold up at work today. Wait, and we'll have to hold up at work today? Okay. I don't know what that means exactly. She's gonna stay at work for a while. Should I meet you after? Maybe. I'll call you later, I guess. Hope? I love you. She's not gonna say it. Oh. I love you too. Very much. Don't forget to call Laura. Ethan nodded absently. Oh no, Ethan's alone again. Things are gonna get crazy. Alright, the door shut behind Hope. Ethan called Laura. Hope found Laura a long time ago. Seemed like Laura helped her a lot. At least, that's what Hope herself said. Ethan didn't know any details, nor wanted to, since Hope hadn't told him. After all, psychotherapy is a very personal matter. Oh. So personal that Ethan felt as if he were standing naked in the middle of a busy street when he had to describe what was happening to him. Apparently, one could get used to this, too, as by the middle of the story, he was sparing no details. To Ethan's surprise, when he mentioned this disturbing emails from his contact that were kind of getting on his nerves, Laura perked up. Oh, you're saying you have recently become quite close to your acquaintance? You empathize and try to help him, huh? Right? Well, yes. Something like that. And your contact's letters contain vivid, disturbing imagery, yes? Imaginary imagery that evoked a certain response from you, is that right? You could say that. He's a writer, after all. Vivid images are his livelihood. Okay. Do you know what induced delusional disorder is, Mr. Harrison? Ethan tried to recall. He definitely read about it, but didn't look into much detail. Is that the thing that explains mass insanity? Like that dancing plague of 1518 in Strasbourg? That's right. This disorder is also called whatever that is, or a madness for two. Sounds romantic, doesn't it? Laura giggled. Ethan thought she herself was not too sane. Of course she wasn't. She has to deal with the guys like me all the time. But Laura had already returned to her usual tone, calm and measured. This condition causes perfectly healthy people to experience various, let's say, negative effects. It works like this. We have a source of delirium, and those who perceive it, one or more people. As you correctly noted, sometimes a disorder can take on a truly massive scale. There's usually an emotional connection between the victims of this condition. Your wife is also at risk, unfortunately. Laura paused. I can't make a diagnosis in such a format, Mr. Harrison. However, I think you need to limit contact with your acquaintance, at least for the time being. He might be the source of the unpleasant state you are experiencing. Would you like to make an appointment for a consultation? I don't think I will. Ethan politely declined, obviously. Because he's not crazy, he doesn't need help. Laura listened to the rest of what he had to say. She asked what pills Ethan was taking. Ethan wasn't taking anything except aspirin. Because he had lots of headaches lately. She advised him to reduce the workload, follow the daily routine, and take light sedatives if necessary. Something herbal, maybe, you know? Without meeting in person, there wasn't much Laura could offer, and Ethan had no energy, time, or money to start the full-on therapy, as Hope called it. Ethan thanked Laura with all his heart, finished the call, stretched, and took a deep breath that made his ribs ache. Then he smiled. Though no full-on therapy was involved, his conversation still made Ethan feel much better. The reality made sense again, and nothing out of the ordinary was happening. Nothing he couldn't handle. He stretched again and was about to go for another cup of coffee when his breath, the steady, deep breath of a man who's in control, caught in his throat. Ethan felt the small hairs on his neck standing up. Something was looking at the back of his head. Ethan turned around slowly. I'm calling the police. Ethan spoke each word loud and clear. It was a decent plan. An actually decent one. And it certainly wasn't funny in any way. And yet, the girl sitting on the windowsill was silently laughing, covering her white teeth with her hand. You bitch. The girl from the supermarket. The girl from the dream. She was still wearing the light white dress, even though in the morning the temperature dropped to 50 degrees Fahrenheit and it was going to rain. One of the straps fell down to the side, but the girl was in no hurry to pull it back. She swung her crossed legs a little, looking at Ethan from under her brow, with the smile of a child who had a hilarious mischief in mind. Did I say something funny? The girl quickly raised her eyes and shrugged silently. And shrugged slightly, still holding back the smile. Just before, she did not make a sound. Just as before, she did not make a sound. Ethan even assumed she could be mute, but decided to make one last attempt. Just one question, and then he calls the cops. Who are you? How did you get in here? Oh, this is a tough one. I want to know who she is. I mean, I want to know both, but I really want to know who she is. Oh, I am going to pause right here. There's no way. Dude, what time is it? It's 10 o'clock. Huh, that was quick. All right. So I don't think I have. Yeah, I gotta pause it. I don't know how to pause. Well, I mean, it's pause. It's a visual novel. But give me a sec. I'll be back. Actually, I'll take a break in just a second. We're gonna ask, who are you? The girl's eyes became round. Her face turned into a surprised grimace. Uh-oh. Overly surprised. Ethan immediately remembered the time when he and Hope came across a couple of street mimes. She poked her thin finger into her chest, which made her tense nipples go up for a second under the thin fabric of her dress. Me? I am what you're looking for. She spoke slowly, stretching out her vowels, and with some kind of delight. A moment later, the girl reached for something behind her back, quickly pulled it to her lips, and took a sip. Ethan's throat became tight with blood that abruptly rushed to his head. Where? How did you get this? The girl traced Ethan's gesture with a genuinely surprised look. In the next moment, she parted her fingers. Wait. That's a picture of Hope. Hope's huge, colorful cup. The one they had just got at the store. Tinkled hurtfully as it struck the floor. And then shattered to pieces. Just like that, there was a brief moment when the cup was lying peacefully on the floor. Ethan got enough time to hope it would endure the fall. And then the fragments burst everywhere at once as a furious white light broke out from the inside. But no, that was milk. Just some milk. You shouldn't have spooked me, you know. Now look what you've done. The poor cup is so broken. So many meeny tiny pieces. There's no way to mend it at all. Ethan was suffocating. What the hell are you doing here? What do you want from me? The girl bit her lip and twisted a fallen shoulder strap between her fingers. The top of the dress slid even lower. Do you want me to leave? But I may run into Hope. Right at the door, Ethan. She got her pass and... She got her pass... Oh, wait. She forgot her pass and will be here any minute. What will the poor girl think? Oh, you bitch. The girl looked over her shoulder and her face instantly lit up. Oh. It's her. Here she is. Hope is simply amazing. Accurate to a minute. Hello? Oh, what's going on? The girl turned over on her stomach, leaning on the sill, and waved vigorously to someone invisible. Her dress completely slid down. That bitch. Ethan would bet her tits were flashing right through... Wait. Ethan would bet her tits were flashing right through the window. Drag her away from the window? Don't come any closer. Okay. I don't know what we're going to do here. Ladies and gentlemen. But I think, I was going to take a break, but I think I'm going to go ahead and stop it right here. I was going to play for a couple more hours, but I think we're like right at the halfway point, and I'll just put this out in another stream because reading so much is kind of a strain, especially when it's on a screen. So we'll break the stream up into two. I'll do more tomorrow night. Is everybody gonna be here tomorrow night? We will do more tomorrow night. I will finish this up if we're about halfway through, whatever's left. If it's only a couple hour or like 4 or 5 hour game, I'll be able to do it. Is everyone okay with that? I hope so, because you don't have a choice. I'm doing it either way. But we can finish it tomorrow. I will do it. It is on the schedule, okay? I appreciate everyone coming by. Supreme, thank you so much for coming by. Flaming, anyone else who came by, I appreciate you all. Good turnout. Don't forget to hit that like button on your way out if you haven't done so already. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And the more I can find some of my AVNs that I like and new ones that I am curious about that have streamer mode or disableable, NSFW content, like if I can turn that off and play these via live streams, I will, because I like the interactions. And it's just kind of fun. It's fun to do it this way. I got through a lot of this game in one sitting, and it's really cool. Really cool. If you want to play it yourself, you can. It's on Steam. It is free. And then like the DLCs if you want to get some of that spicy stuff. And there's like 3 different DLCs. The 18 plus. There's like some of the art and one other DLC I can't remember that you can get, but the base game is free on Steam. That's all I got for you. Thank you again, everyone, and a big thank you to Supreme Creep for coming and hanging out with me. Guys, take it easy. Flaming, you too. Don't think I forgot about you. All right. And Swift Screen. Oh, wow. Swift, you just missed it. We're wrapping up here. I played this for a couple hours. As I was saying, if you didn't catch it, I am playing more of it tomorrow night. I don't know what time yet, but just, you know, if you got your notifications on and everything, all the bells and whistles are clicked, then you should get notified. Or just, you know, stop by the channel sometime tomorrow during the day and you'll be able to like see the live stream. Will already be set up with like a countdown to when it's happening. But I got to take off. My wife is about to walk through the door. She's been on a road trip all day. She's just getting home. That's kind of why I'm quitting right now. So I can say hi to her, probably help her unload the car and some other things. That's it. You guys take it easy. Have a great night. Bye-bye.